Hey all, Tabes here, back playing some more Planet Zoo, and this is episode 5 of my Canadian zoo project, Tiguidou Zoo. So in the last one we added the cafe, sort of cafe diner area. We're finally, as you'll see from the title, we're finally getting some animals in. So we're going to be adding Timberwolves in this episode. There's actually quite a lot going on here. It's been, what's it been, sort of 2 or 3 weeks I think since the last one. I did have a little bit of a holiday, my first holiday for 2 years, so that was very, very much appreciated. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since the last video. If you have missed that previous one, then jump back into the previous video or the playlist linked up above. And yeah, there's kind of a bunch of things going on in this one as ever. Speed build up the front, real-time tour at the end. Yeah, and because there's kind of not been a while that I've made a video, there's quite a lot to get through in this one. So as ever, the speed build is a bit of a kind of cut down version of everything that's going on. What I tend to do with these, if you haven't seen any of my stuff before, is I tend to kind of just show the broad brush strokes of what I'm doing. So at the beginning here, we're creating this little kind of ice cream vending machine. Well, like a little ice cream cooler, which is going to go outside where we had the cafe last week. Cafe one was pretty happy with that. It turned out pretty well. I've done a few more details and things to that I'll show you in the real-time tour, not included in the speed build here. But yeah, this was just a little, I don't know why I did this really. I think I saw something that inspired me and then I thought I'd make one of these. So it's a bit like this will be on the workshop as well actually, so feel free to grab that. I will have a link to the collection and stuff as ever in the description. But yeah, so I just thought I'd add this little thing as a little feature. Obviously, maybe this was dreams of summer that I started making this. So we've just got this little, it's got a little section for ice cream, a little section for kind of cold drinks, and then a little canopy over the top of it. I didn't really have a place to stick that in the footage, so I thought I'd just stick it at the beginning there. But now we're actually getting into Timberwolves. So we're doing some landscaping. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. There's loads of things that we need to look at actually when we get into the real-time tour that I must try and remember not to miss out. But we're starting off. I mentioned in the previous episode this idea of there being this constant thing throughout the zoo, which is a movement of water. And a big part of that I'm adding or starting to add here. So if you remember from the previous episodes, if you've seen the first episode, everything on the zoo is set on like a slope. It's a bit difficult to tell from this camera angle, but it is actually quite a steady slope going downhill. So what I thought I'd do, this was an idea that I had a while ago, and I had a few people who had mentioned to me about having a lake at the bottom. My intention was always to have kind of like this trickle of water all the way through as this water from the high ground moves towards the water from the low ground. So I started off by basically kind of creating this little stream that's going to run all the way down. We get a reasonable amount of it done. You'll see by the time we get to the real-time tour, there's quite a lot of it not done, but we get a kind of a gist of it going at the start here. So there you see the cafe. You're going to see how this kind of starts to link together. I had mentioned that cafe deck section was going to be an overlook, and it was both going to act as a kind of an overlook, little teaser into the rest of the zoo, but also the overlook into a habitat. So what I thought would be really cool would be to actually have the wolves habitat up at eye level, so almost like you're in this, like there's nothing separating the wolves from the cafe deck, the deck of the cafe there. So what I've done here is actually, but obviously I don't want the wolves to be able to get into the cafe. So I created this kind of little, this little pond, and you can see this kind of faux rock thing. I'm deliberately using the faux rocks here in order to make sure that it doesn't look the same as the natural rock, and that this is actually all kind of man-made and not just natural. So yeah, we've got a little den going on downstairs, which actually is not an enormous amount of footage from that. And you saw that there was like a little pond that separates the deck area from this little hill, and the Timberwolves can get up onto that hill. Underneath that hill, and again, this is a reason why I did that in the faux rock, because obviously that'd be a lot of weight. We have this little tunnel, and that little tunnel leads round into a kennel area, which is inside the Timberwolves habitat. So yeah, this is moving along at a blistering speed as always, but yeah, adding a little gate in, you can see the Timberwolves going in and out there. I've put some in order to make sure I get the scale and stuff right, and that they can actually get in and out of that little door. So there's my little door going in. There's a copious amount of rock work being done in this episode, most of which gets cut out, but you'll sort of see me doing the broad strokes here and there, trying to make this river look like it's natural. So the idea is that the river was there, or the stream was there, and I think my idea is that it's like, maybe it's like a seasonal movement of water, and in particular times of year the water moves down the hill. So as you saw me using a combination of actual kind of staggered ponds, using the water tanks, but also the waterfall pieces to get that movement of water in combination with things like the rapids and all that sort of stuff. So working on the kennels now. So obviously wolves are a dangerous creature, so you have to make sure you've got some separation between them and your keepers. Obviously it's not something that particularly works in the game all that well, because the keepers just blunder into the habitat walk around, but I wanted to make sure I had something that kind of implied a means of getting the wolves into sort of separation areas, but also getting them out into in case we need to transit them out and stuff. There may well be another gate. I think there's probably going to be a second entrance into this habitat at some point in the future. Not that something that I've done in this episode. Most of this habitat is finished. I'd say the large proportion of this habitat is done by the end of this episode, but I think I probably will do some additions to it. I've got another little section which kind of gets left incomplete, another little kind of viewing area that gets left incomplete. So you're working on these. I spent quite a lot of time getting these cages to look like they had some sort of mechanism for opening and closing, these little shutters. If you see, it's a bit fiddly because every time you click on a piece that's like right up against the barrier like that, you click on the barrier and it takes a bit of time. So yeah, I spent quite a while sort of fastidiously trying to work out some sort of pulley system. There's some kind of some little winding mechanisms that you'll see more in the speed build, more in the real-time tour. Switching gear now into the actual guest facing parts of it. So I've gone back to using my my block piece here to create this kind of little archway, using my little mini block set that I'd used in the previous episode. This will probably be scattered throughout the zoo, I think. Just nice to have those little things that kind of create a sort of synergy across the different parts of the zoo. Something that I'm not overly good at, but I'm going to try really hard to do that in this. So there's my little bridge, and you can see the water moving down the hill there. And yeah, just trying to get this was at the stage where I'm trying to get this guest part of it much more kind of fleshed out. Fences and stuff are all wrong at the moment. I've moved the wolves in, so just to get a scale. Starting working on the fences now. I wanted to keep these fairly simple. I wanted to have it look like it's pretty kind of meaty and good enough to keep wolves out, and also having little details like this that keep smaller animals just kind of from scurrying in and out and all that sort of stuff. Not too obsessed about this, really, just a detail thing that I'll probably do a bit more of. But yeah, wolves are obviously a dangerous animal, so you've got to be careful not to kind of not to sort of skimp on the fence. And I've obviously done a thing where I've got the double fence there, because the wolves can actually come right up to the fence line. So you've got the path barrier, and then you've got the fence just beyond it, and then put in. I don't think these are really necessary, but it was a bit of a detail thing. But this sort of climb proof fence detail. You see a lot of these in things like tiger habitats and stuff, but I thought I'd add it in for wolves. Obviously a wolf is, can jump and climb and all sorts of things, so a whole load of guests walking around will be quite tempting. I spent quite a lot of time actually on this part of the habitat trying to get, I've said this many times before, but trying to get these kind of viewpoint breaks in, so making sure that I've got places where there's plenty of view for guests to look in, but not loads of places where guests are seeing other guests, if you know what I mean. But back to some more terrain work, making sure that the whole thing kind of climbs away from the guests in order to get that nice kind of perspective, so that when the wolves are at the back of the habitat, the guests can still see them, and that's, you kind of get away with that by having this sort of slight incline. Loads of foliage and detail thing. I went a bit mad with the temple rubble pieces, and you can see those little bits of, and actually the wolves interact with it all really nicely. They kind of jump in and out of that bit of extra water, and they swim up and down the little bit of the river, and then you've got the shallow bit that they just kind of walk over. Really nicely works, actually. I'm really happy with the way it came out. So just putting in a few little bits and details of bit of driftwood here, a bit of rock there, that just kind of adds that little bit of extra detail. This side of it, I'd say this part where I'm working on now is probably the least done bit. I think there's going to be some other bits and pieces going into that part in the next episode. Probably not, it will be blended in with another thing, whatever the next thing is that we're doing. Getting the enrichment in now, making sure, actually it's quite nice how I'd forgotten how much the canines get. They get an enormous amount of enrichment items. So this is the last piece of the puzzle. Just kind of getting this in. This is going to be something, as I said, for the next part of the speed build. I put that bit of path in and then realise that it's not flat here at all and doesn't make any sense. So I need to go back and do some terrain work, flatten that all off, and come back to it. Right, so we, as ever, are coming to the end of the speed build section. Please do stick around for the real-time tour. You'll see all sorts of stuff that I haven't been able to see or to show here. And I shall catch you guys in a moment. Okay, peeps, welcome back. So we'll start off in here. We'll make our way round. We'll actually go through the restaurant again, through the cafe again. I can't remember if I had these before, but I've added these little doormats, customised branded doormats with Tiguidou on it. Just using the billboard. So we'll go through here. We've got a few extra details. My challenge in these videos is always to remember all of the things I've added since the last episode, and as soon as it's been 3 weeks since the last episode, I might have a bit of a job. So I did do a few little bits to jazz up in here. I felt like it still needed a few bits more. I haven't done the kitchens yet, but I did add this pattern, this gingham pattern. Just, I don't know, just helps add something. It's actually just using the billboards with a custom piece of art on there, basically. So if we head through here, we will get our first glimpse of the habitat, and if we're lucky, we'll see a wolf come up, because they come all the way up here. Let's hang out here a second. I have left this view. It's going to be a bit more of a teaser than it was going to be before. It's not going to be quite as open, but that's obviously going to be the rest of the zoo going on down there. Here's my little ice cream thing. As I said, link on the workshop, or link in the description to the collection. Various different, like a chocolate, sort of chocolate chip one. I don't know what that flavours is. Maybe it's supposed to be sorbets as well, and then some drinks and stuff in there. So I'm just trying to kind of hang out here for a second. There is a lot to see, but I'm waiting to see if we get one come up. So as I said, I wanted to create this, the point was to create this break, but have the kind of almost like the thrill factor of it feeling like you're inside the enclosure with them. They can't get there's no way for them to get round here. They could obviously they can come around here, but there's this kind of sort of fairly discreetly hidden metal thing here, so they could go down into the water, but obviously they couldn't get up onto this deck. There is also fence along this edge, and obviously no way for them to kind of get up there. And then this drops away again to the metal, so it's all fairly well thought out. A little bit probably overly obsessed about that, but I wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be anyone sort of looking and going, oh, pretty sure the wolves could get into the habitat or get into the cafe there. Let's go this way for a second. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I blocked off all the view. You'll see there's a lot of building over here now. There's no kind of backstage view. Maybe just this little peaky little hole here that you can sneak a look through. If you remember from the previous episodes, we have got access. We've just seen that keeper come down there, that vendor. There's a toilet in there, but there's also a staff door that goes through there. There we see the keeper going through. I'll probably put it in a cinematic. There'll be a cinematic that shows that. Anyway, so what we'll do is... Oh, and that's supposed to be like it's... because the door's open. It's supposed to be like cold coming out. What we will do, I think, is we'll head along the guest path. So this is still a bit rough, and actually we're going kind of in the out, if you know what I mean. So as I said in the last episode, this is actually the exit gate, but so we've got bumped over the top. We've got the exit gate coming up here, the exit path coming up here, and the entrance is over there. But it's actually more done going this way. So if we head on down this path, as you can imagine, there's going to be all this is going to be blocked in with different things, and I've sort of temporarily put some a few bits and pieces. So the right hand of the path is not really done. The left hand side of the path is where we're looking really. So we've got a bit of foliage. Obviously, there's where we were a second ago. Coming up over here. I'm not sure what's going to be on the right yet. I will decide at some point. If we make our way down here... Oh, we've got stuck. There we go. Head on down. And we start to get a glimpse of the habitat. So there we go. I've got a couple of little bits and pieces I've got to tidy up there. So there's my fence. Pretty happy with that. We will go inside the habitat and do a little fly around and stuff, so you can see it in a bit more detail. Got some little custom infographics and stuff off the internet, which are really cool. I think they're actually... I'm not quite sure if they're the right type of wolf or not, but I could never work out. I did a bit of Googling, work out if Timberwolves and Grey Wolves are the same thing. They seem to be. I might be wrong. So yeah, this is the guest view that you'd get. Here's my little bridge. Let's look this way. So there's the river running down. Obviously from there it's not done, but I think that actually looks pretty alright. It's supposed to look natural, so quite a lot of work to get it looking natural. Some flowers and things we've got there. I think this will be a really nice spot to stand in, because we'll get a good view of whatever's down there further. Yeah, and then you get a couple of little glimpsy, little sneaky spots. Zoos often do these little kind of peek holes that you get as you're coming round. These little kind of spy holes into the habitat. You see one just coming out of the water. And then, as I said, that's something else going to go on there. I'm not exactly sure yet. I think maybe it's going to be like an educational area. So let's poke our head through the fence. Oosh, go in with the wolves. I think it came out pretty well. It's pretty lush in here, I have to say. It's quite a lot going on. Various different sections where they can kind of hang out. And lots of movement and lots of travelling around, which is what I really like, what I'm really looking for. And as you see, there's that kind of perspective shift of it being the further back in the habitat, the higher up it goes. So you get a nice view of the wolves all over the place from these various different spots. So one of these spots will be a viewing area into the habitat, and then obviously you've got this one here along this section. which you'll get a really nice view of them, feeding and all sorts of things. They don't use this bridge very often. That water is actually shallow enough for them just to walk through, so they do quite often just path over the top of that. But you will see them jumping in and out, playing in the water all the time. You'll see that in some of the cinematics, I'm sure. And then, I spent a lot of time thinking about... Oh, there's a bit of messiness. Thinking about how the various different areas... So we've got this little den. You may have spotted me adding this little tunnel. This isn't actually a guest-facing area. This is a keeper-facing area. So this is pretty simple. Just add a little camera in there. You'll see why that's in there in a second. But yeah, sleeping little kind of almost like on stage den. You can kind of get a glimpse down through the trees. I thought that would be nice to see them, another little interest spot to see the wolves kind of pathing down into there. So if we head round and do another turn, again, I was really sort of consciously making an effort to make sure that I almost like little teasers. I don't mind I don't 100% feel the need to hide away backstage areas. I think sometimes having a little window on it, a little view of what's going on behind the scenes is kind of fun. So what I did was just added again using a balance of the faux rocks versus the real rocks, and the faux rocks giving that kind of thing that they're almost like this is just for staging purposes. So this is all really about blocking out what's going on back here. So we'll go that way in a second, but this slope brings us up to the cafe view again, and they can get up here and they can stand here and they can play with that little bait sack dealy. But if we go back down this way, we can hopefully poke our heads in here without ending up on the roof. So there's their kind of real actual backstage kennel, and you'll see there's another camera there and a door that sort of set steps. That's just an implied door. Here's the gate that you saw me making. So sort of supposed to be like a sliding door, all supposed to be controllable from outside of the habitat. So I'm pretty sure that wolves are a species that keepers don't go inside the habitat with. I might be wrong, but I think most people would probably not be going inside these habitats. Hence the purpose of this whole section. So this is I'm going to try and work hard to make sure I keep this consistent, but trying to make sure that we've got ways to get various different ways to separate animals, but also various different ways to get in and out of the habitats. This is a large gate. Obviously we've got the regular keeper gate there that they come in and out of, which we'll have a look at in a second. But yeah, a kind of larger gate that like a small vehicle come through, like a pickup or something. And then you have all the little separation enclosures, so if they need to get a wolf out of the habitat. I picked up this from the workshop. I think it's from Carlos. Credit to him for that. And then yeah, there's supposed to be that's the mechanism for opening and closing the various different gates. So yeah, spin one of those wheels and it raises the gate, and the wolf comes out into the box, etc. And then if we head back through this way, just poke our head through here. So this is round to the backstage. So there's that tunnel again. Tunnel doesn't go anywhere at the moment, but it's, as you saw, that's the. I said there was that staff access out of the. This looks like there's a person about to come out of there, out from where the toilet is there, which I think still needs to have another door. Unfortunately, they kind of just dupe through the wall like that. But and then yeah, this is the back of the kennel. With some guttering and things, and a few little bits and pieces of detail. Nothing too complicated there. Bit of pipe work and stuff. And then this is the view into the back of that sleeping area. Oh, I've got a bit of fence there that needs to be tidied, and a bit of rubbish there that needs to go away. There's always more. There's always more. There's always something to fix. And then if I just boot my head through here, I did this little fuse box thing. I added this. I think I created this form as Missoula. Yeah, I created this for Missoula ages ago and didn't end up using it, or it got taken out. I think it got taken out. So yeah, it's supposed to be that there's like a little fuse box, little utility area. So if I just stick my head through here, oh, we ended up on the roof. Can we not end up on the roof? Hold on. Okay, so back inside the habitat. So there's the gate that goes down into the kennel that we stuck our head for a minute ago. And there's my little CCTVs. So I'm going to do these in a bunch of places. I think I'm going to have this all over the zoo. But yeah, so what I did was actually just put a real CCTV camera up, record the bit of video from where that was, and that's supposed to look like it's a view of the den, and then this is the kennel. So you will see them coming out. There's no activity going on in the kennel at the moment, but there is a wolf just leaving the den. That was pretty cool. That came out all right. We can see that it's not quite. It is actually empty in there at the moment. Handy. Let's get rid of the blue person in the distance. So yeah, let's take a little fly around. We'll have a little look at a couple of extra little details. So I have continued on working on the road. We have a fence that now runs all the way along, and a bunch more trees and stuff that run all the way along, just to kind of close that off. I need to do the road markings and all that sort of stuff. And there it is in context. So as I said, that needs to kind of all get fixed up. I'm not sure what I'm doing there yet, but I think that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it so far. We seem to have an abundance of wolves at the moment. But yeah, and I love how kind of playful they look, jumping in and out of the... They playing in and out of the water and stuff. Finding new areas to explore. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the backdrop as well. I think that all is looking nice and neat now. I'm imagining the idea of cars driving along there and being able to see down into here. That's not actually the habitat barrier, but I did that just to make sure there was no possible idea of some poor pedestrian dropping themselves down into the wolf habitat. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Do very much appreciate you watching. If you like what you see, do please drop a like or hit a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. It really does help me out. It's a bit difficult at the moment with everybody returning to work and normal life to get views and stuff. So I do appreciate anyone helping me out with the shares and all that sort of thing. Anyway, guys, as I said, thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. I shall catch you on the next one. Hopefully it won't be too much longer before the next one comes up. And yeah, let me know what animal you'd like to see next. This was a suggestion of someone. Did that guy? What just happened there? Did that wolf just... Something just went over the fence. Was it me? I sure saw something just shoot over the fence there. Anyway, take it easy, guys. Catch you on the next one.